G'day guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And after Melbourne's astonishing second half in the 2021 AFL Grand Final, today we take a look at the top 10 biggest scoring halves by a team in a Grand Final. Now coming in at equal 10 spot, we have 83 points, which is recorded by Hawthorn in the second half of the 1988 Grand Final, in which they demolished the Demons by 96 points. Also scoring 83 points was West Coast in the 1995 Grand Final against Geelong during the second half, which eventuated to an 80-point win. They ended up scoring 20 goals, 23, which really, they should have won the game by 100. You had 43 scoring shots. Now, in 9th position, we have 84 points, which was recorded by Geelong in the second half of the 2007 Grand Final, in which they did demolish the Power to the tune of 119 points. And as many of you guys do know, that was the greatest winning margin in Grand Final history.
And there it is! It's the Cats! They've come so close so many times!
Now coming in at equal 8th position, we have 85 points, which was recorded by North Melbourne in the second half of the 1977 replay against Collingwood. They had an astonishing 25 scoring shots in the second half, however only managed to win the game by 27, with the final scores being 151 to 124.
The only two times it's been done to come from third place on the VFL ladder after home and away season. There it is. The Grand Final is all over.
Now a little bit more recently, also tied on 8th position, we have the Crows, who scored 85 points in the second half of the 1997 Grand Final against the Saints. The Crows were trailing by 13 points at a half-time, but came back firing, ending up as 31-point winners. And obviously, as a Saints fan, I know I wasn't watching the game live or anything, but the fact that we're the team to do this. Like, why is it that the Saints are always the team to lead at breaks like half-time, three-quarter time, and choke? We did it in the 2009 Grand Final, in the 1971 Grand Final, and in the 1997 Grand Final. We let the Crows score 85 points in the second half. That is quite poor. Now in 6th spot, we have Essendon and their whopping 86 points in the second half of the 1984 Grand Final. The Bombers had only scored 29 and were trailing by 25 points at half-time, which I think ended up being a 23-point deficit at three-quarter time, but ended up beating the Hawks by 24 points thanks to a 9-goal final term.
Into this quarter by just on 35 inches, there's the siren.
Essendon winning their first flag since 1965.
Now, the Bombers would again feature in 5th position with their enormous second half in the 1946 Grand Final, in which they scored 89 points, as well as recording 11 goals, 8 in the third quarter, which is the highest scoring quarter by any team in a Grand Final. The Bombers then went on to beat the D's by 63 points. At number 4 position, we have the Bombers again with a whopping 95 points, in which they scored in the second half of the 1985 Grand Final, thanks to an 11-goal final term. The Bombers went on to win the game by 78 points, so I don't know what it is with the Bombers and scoring 11 goals in quarters in Grand Final history, but that has probably got to be up there with, I'd have to say, top 3 highest scoring quarters in Grand Final history.
Ball back into play again as it goes wide towards the over the half-forward line for Hawthorn. There's the siren to win the game, and Essendon are premiers for 1985, winning 2 in a row.
Now, number 3 goes to Geelong, in which they scored 96 points in the second half of the famous 1989 Grand Final. Remarkably, this is the only team that didn't end up winning on this list, as in fact, the Hawks did walk away 6-point winners, with the Cats' score being a crazy 139 points. So, imagine scoring 96 points in the second half of a Grand Final, but still losing the game. That is just how crazy the 1989 Grand Final was. I'm pretty sure Ablett kicked the 9 goals in that game. I think he would have kicked like 5 or 6 in the second half. But yeah, they ended up losing that game, which was quite remarkable. And obviously, as I said before, the only team in this list not to win a game.
Looks like it's all over. The dream of back-to-back pennants is all but there as far as the Hawks are concerned. There's the siren. Hawthorn have won it by 6 points. A heart-stopper.
Now, most recently, we've got 2nd position, and this was awarded to Melbourne, in which they scored 101 points in the second half of the 2021 Grand Final. The D's trailed by 19 points, as we all know, halfway through the third quarter, but then proceeded to kick 16 of the next 17 goals, as the scores were 100-7 after Bond's goal midway through the third. Now, this is the greatest score by a team in the second half of a Grand Final, as the D's went on to smash the Dogs by 74 points. Obviously, as we all know, the D's, I think, kicked 4 goals in the last 4 minutes of the third, and then it was just party time in the last.
Every heart is beating true and blue for the red and blue. After 57 long years, the Demons are premiers in 2021. Extraordinary stuff. And McDonald kicks the goal. Delirious fans and players.
And coming in at number 1, we have Carlton, as they scored a mammoth 114 points in the first half of the 1972 Grand Final. The Blues beat the Tigers by 27 points as the final scores were 177 to 150. Absolutely crazy scores. This was the biggest combined score in Grand Final history and the 8th highest combined score in history. Imagine scoring 150 points in a Grand Final and not ending up winning the game. Well, that was the fact with this crazy Grand Final in 1972.
Players, they must be dog-tired out there. Siren. Carlton have won it. Carlton have won it. And they're going mad here at the MCG.
Anyways, that was it for the video. Those were the top 10, or I could say top 11, biggest scoring halves for any team in Grand Final history. A little bit of a short one here, but I thought it'd be something a little bit interesting because, yeah, obviously the Ds with their massive 101 points. I was just thinking, I'm like, is that the highest scoring half in Grand Final history by any team? It was up there, as we saw in the list. It was second in the list. So, yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know. Leave a like. If you want to see similar sort of videos where I sort of go over a top 10 list or something like that, especially during the off season, let me know, and you can submit them on my Discord if you've got any video ideas. I'll chuck the Discord link in the description. We're going to try and get 15,000 subscribers before the end of the year. You would think we can potentially get it done, but during the off season, I don't know if the subscribers are going to stagnate or not, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching the video, and I'll see you guys soon in my next one.